Hello everyone, welcome to Come Sit at My Table. Melissa and I are sure happy to have you here today. Well, you know it's Sunday, and on Sundays we do subscriber recipes. So today we're doing a recipe from Michelle Frazee. Michelle, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, from New Salem, Pennsylvania. Michelle has sent us a recipe for lazy pierogi casserole. Now, normally, as a school teacher, I wouldn't really like the word lazy. But when it comes to putting together a casserole, I love that word. So this casserole is going to mimic pierogis, which are little dumplings that are filled with either a savory or a sweet filling. I think the traditional filling is mashed potatoes, and that's what we're doing today. But instead of making a dough and folding the dough and crimping it and making little dumplings, we're going to use lasagna noodles. That makes it so much easier. And instead of making our own mashed potatoes, we're going to use store-bought mashed potatoes. Hence the name Lazy Pierogi Casserole. I really like the way this sounds, and I think it's going to turn out fabulously. Let me read you a little part of the letter that Michelle sent. She said, "Hi, Tom and Melissa. I come from a very large family of 11 children, and my husband and I just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary on August 17th. So, happy anniversary."
That's a big one.
"My mom was a wonderful cook. She learned most of her cooking from women of all nationalities, as Fayette County is a mixture of so many, especially Italian, Polish, and Slovakian. And we learned to eat what was put in front of us. So with this recipe, it came much easier for my mom, who used to make homemade pierogi the hard way. But this was just as delicious to all of us. If you don't already have a recipe like this, I hope you come to enjoy it as much as we do. It makes a wonderful dish to take to socials too, and it is easily doubled or even tripled, and it freezes well." I love that. And then she signs it, "Sincerely, Michelle Frazee." All right, let's talk about what we're going to use to make Michelle's lazy pierogi casserole. We're going to start with onions. Now, her recipe says 1 to 2 large onions diced, but my onions are, although they are large as far as circumference, they're not very thick. These are Vidalias, so I'm going to start with 3, and I'm just going to tell you, Melissa and I love cooked onions. So if I feel like this is not enough after we get them cooked, I may throw another 1 or 2 in, because in Michelle's recipe, she says to use as much onion as you like. So that's what I'm going to start with. We're also going to use 2 sticks of butter that we're going to melt in our saucepan to cook our onions in. Then we're going to use mashed potatoes for the filling. And she suggested we use Bob Evans original mashed potatoes right from the refrigerator section of your grocery store. If you've never tried these, I think you will be very pleasantly surprised by the quality. Melissa and I have eaten these a couple of times. We don't buy them a lot, but we have purchased them when we wanted a quick side dish. And I'm going to tell you, you can throw them in the microwave for about 4 to 5 minutes, and they're ready to eat. And they are delicious. They might need just a little extra salt and pepper, but they are very good quality mashed potatoes. And this is a 32-ounce package. It says it has 3 cups of mashed potatoes in it, which is what the recipe calls for, 3 cups of mashed potatoes. But I'm going to tell you, I bought a second one of these just for Melissa and I to have, as Melissa and me to have. Sorry, had to correct myself. The English teacher came out. So that we could just have a tub to eat for a meal. If I need part of those to finish out this recipe, I will. We're also going to use some mild cheddar that is shredded, and I'm just using a package from the store that's already shredded. We're going to use some salt and some pepper that we will add to the mashed potatoes if I feel like it needs it. I'm not sure. We will check those. And the last thing is a 16-ounce box of lasagna noodles. Now, these are going to be cooked for about 10 minutes. That's to the al dente stage. And then after they're cooked, we will cut each noodle into thirds, and we're going to use those to stuff with the mashed potatoes, and we'll fold them over, to quote Michelle, like a blanket. So that will be the last thing we do. We're going to start by chopping our onions. We'll melt our butter in the saucepan and get those onions in cooking because we need part of those in the bottom of our dish. While those are cooking, we will check our mashed potatoes, see if they need any salt and pepper, and we'll stir our cheese in. All right, let's get started with the onions. All right, we're just going to put our butter in, turn the heat on, and get that started melting while we chop up our onion. Now, Michelle's instructions say that you can dice your onions or you can slice them into strips or rings. She does say that she prefers to do strips, but I really like diced onions, and I like just being able to get them on my fork and not have to worry about them stringing off my fork. So I'm doing dices. If she had said, oh, you have to do sliced, that's what I would have done. But since she said you could choose, I am doing diced onions, but you can do it either way. All right, let's get these into our skillet and get them cooking. Now we're just going to keep an eye on our onions, and we will stir them occasionally until they are translucent and pretty much cooked through. We don't want them to brown. You don't want them to be overcooked and just turn to mush, but you want to make sure that they are pretty much done because they're not going to cook a lot in the oven after we get the pierogies made. While our onions are cooking, I'm just going to scoop our mashed potatoes out of the container that they're in, the Bob Evans container. And I will tell you, I got a little spoon and did a taste test, and I just don't think they need any more salt or pepper. I think they're really good the way they are, so I'm not adding anything else. Of course, you will need to taste it and decide for yourself. If you feel like it needs more of one or the other, or more of both, then feel free to add what you think they need. And to the mashed potatoes, we're going to add 1.5 cups of cheddar cheese. The recipe that Michelle sent does not say whether to add mild or sharp, so I'm adding mild because that's what Melissa and I like. And that's about, this has 2 cups in it, so I'm going to leave about 1/2 cup in. That should do it right there. That's about 1/2 cup left in the bag. And we're just going to mix that together. And this is what we'll use to stuff our pierogies when we're putting them together. Our next step will be to cook the lasagna noodles. And we will do that as soon as our onions look like they're almost ready to come off the fire. All right, I'm dropping my lasagna noodles into our boiling water. They're going to take 10 minutes. So I will set our timer. And when those are finished, we will take them out and cut them into thirds to get ready to stuff them with our mashed potatoes. All right, our timer has gone off. I'm going to turn the heat off for just a minute. I am going to turn it back on as soon as I get these out because I only did 6 of these. I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing before I cooked all of them and got them cooked and ready to go. So I only did 6. And then I'll put the others in after I know what I'm doing here. Okay, now Michelle's directions say to rinse these in cold water and then move them to a cutting board where you cut them into thirds. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rinse them in cold water here. And normally I never rinse my pasta, but that's what the directions say to do. So that's what I'm doing. Okay. These picked up, and we'll move them over to our cutting board. And we're going to cut them into thirds. And I guess you just have to kind of guesstimate where 1/3 is. Okay, and we'll just continue doing that until we have them all cut up. Before we can fill our lasagna noodles, we need to put some of this delicious onion and butter mixture in the bottom of our pan. And you just want enough that you can kind of coat the bottom of your pan. It doesn't have to be completely filled, I don't think, but you want enough in there that you're going to have a layer of onion on the bottom. Onion and butter. Now, I'm going to be honest here and tell you that I probably fixed a lot more onion than I need. I don't know where you're going, Melissa. Sorry.
It's okay.
I fixed a lot more onion than I probably need because I love having leftover cooked onions. When I was growing up, you know what? I think this is going to be too much from this little scoop. It is. I'm going to just have to use a spoon. Michelle says to use about a tablespoon. So that's what I'm going to do. And she says just to fold it over like a blanket. I guess just like that. And layer them right on top of your onions. Okay, so when I was growing up, I've told Melissa this story before. My dad would always make us eat cooked onions in the winter because he was convinced that cooked onions would keep you from getting a cold. So a lot of times in the fall and winter, we would have cooked onions as a side dish with our meal. Whatever it was, we would just have some cooked onions, and sometimes we'd put them on our plate, and sometimes we would put them in a bowl. But
Sounds pretty good, to be perfectly honest. We never did that. I don't think I'd ever heard that story before, but hey, sounds like a good reason to eat onions to me.
well, I got to the point that if we had leftover onions, I would slip in the kitchen and get a bowl and just eat a bowl of onions because I love cooked onions. So, you know, it's not bad to have too many onions if you're doing this. You can have some leftover onions and maybe keep yourself from getting cold. Who knows?
If your dad was correct.
If he was right, but I have no proof of that. So
You know, there's a lot of wisdom, though, in those old wives' tales.
that's true. That's absolutely true. Okay, I'm just going to continue making our little pierogies, our little lazy pierogies. I have the rest, or some more, of the lasagna noodles in the water boiling. So by the time I get these filled, hopefully those will be about ready to go. And we will just continue making the pierogies and layering them. We have put our first layer of pierogies in our pan. So we're just going to put another layer of onions. And again, you just want them kind of scattered. I don't think it has to be completely covered, but you want some onions on top of each one of those pierogies. Just spread it out a little bit because you want some of that goodness in every bite. Now, we're about halfway. So we're just going to start our second layer and put another layer of our rolled pierogies right on top. We are just about finished stuffing our lasagna noodles with the mashed potatoes and cheese. And our casserole dish is almost full. So we are near the end here. I'm going to tell you, I have really enjoyed putting these together. It's kind of therapeutic just to take your time and roll these up and fit them into the pan.
I've been working at the table and I've heard you over here humming along.
I know, I've sung, I've really enjoyed putting these together. Now, I'm going to put our onions on top. So we'll just go back to our pan, and I might have to use all these. We'll see. Might save just a little bit out for me. But we're going to put these right on top here and spread them out because we want plenty of onions on it. You know, I was really, at the beginning, I thought, oh my gosh, there's more onions there than we'll possibly use. There's going to be plenty left over for Melissa and me to have just to eat. But maybe not. Okay.
And you wouldn't have to go as heavily.
No, I guess not. But I mean, my goodness.
Not everybody likes them like we do, I suppose.
I guess if you don't like them this heavy on there, then don't go that heavy. But if you're like me, you're going to pile them on. And this is the top layer, so what else are you going to do with them? Well, put them in a bowl and eat them. Now, our oven is preheated to 350 degrees. This is going to go in, I think it says covered.
You better check, babe.
Let me check that. It did say covered.
Good thing we checked.
Good thing we checked. So I'm just going to put a little bit of foil right on top of it. And we're going into our preheated 350 degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes. And I think all you're really trying to do is heat it through because everything's cooked. All right, 30 to 40 minutes. Our pierogi casserole, lazy pierogi casserole, is out of the oven. It's been in there for 40 minutes. And I'm telling you, Melissa and I are ready to dig into this.
That looks fabulous.
We are so excited to try it. Now, this is what we're having for dinner tonight. So, we're just going to take a couple of them out. Ooh, I might drop one. My spatula is not big enough.
Slippery little dudes.
Yeah, they are. Let's see if I can get under this one. There we go. I want some of those onions. All right.
I haven't heard anything about you liking onions today.
No, I know, no. Well, I'll tell you what I did. When we were covering the top of the casserole with onions, I purposefully left these out. Now, I'm not going to eat them like this. I'll eat them. But that's just about 2 or 3 bites. But hey, at least I'm going to have a few bites to eat. All right, babe. Are you ready?
I am.
Now, I mentioned that this is what we are having for dinner. And you might be wondering, what am I going to put with pierogi casserole? Well, Melissa got online and did a little Google search. And it says to serve a green vegetables like broccoli or green beans or Brussels sprouts, or a salad with it and some bread. And I think that sounds wonderful. So we're having a salad with ours tonight. I hope it doesn't burn you, babe. Too hot? Okay. That's comfort food. Noodles and potatoes. and cheese.
Good grief, you gave me a huge bite.
Sorry.
That is so good, though.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. I don't know that I'd ever had one of these before.
Me either. If you're looking at this thinking, I can't do that, I've never made pierogies. Neither had I. This is my first time to make them. It was easy.
I don't know what the hard ones are supposed to taste like, but that tastes really good.
These are delicious. Oh, I can't eat all this. I have to wait for dinner. Listen, if I can do this, you can do this.
It's something definitely very different, too.
And you know, this would feed a crowd. I can see why Michelle's letter said this is really good to take to a social, to a potluck, to a family get-together. That would feed a bunch of people. So, you know, if you're going somewhere, consider taking this. It's really good. I can't stay out of this.
Just had to have that last bite, didn't you?
I know. It's so good. I'm going to be honest and tell you that I was really a little worried about putting mashed potatoes and noodles together.
That's an unusual combination.
Well, it is for us. I guess not for everybody. But I just thought mashed potatoes are starch, noodles are starchy. Really, is this going to work? And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. Let's see. It works.
We get tried and true recipes because we know it's going to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I hope you give this a try. It's delicious. We would appreciate you going right below the video and clicking that like button. If you haven't before, we invite you to click the subscribe button, that little notification bell beside of it, and the word all. Right under the video, you're going to find the description box. In it, it's going to say Lazy Pierogi Casserole. I love the title of that dish. If you'll click anywhere in that box, the box will expand. You will find the written recipe right there. Melissa always puts that written recipe in there for you. Under that, you'll find the word more. Click it. The box will expand further. You will find our mailing address. So if you would like to mail us your family's tried and true recipe, we would love to see it. And maybe we'll use it on our Sunday Subscriber Series videos. Right under that's a link or links where you can order our cookbook. If you're interested in it, you can click either our publisher's link, which is www.reformationpublishers.com, or you can click the Amazon link and order our cookbook from them. We do appreciate those of you who have ordered. We appreciate those of you who have told us you're already ordering for Christmas gifts. We think that's a great idea, and we appreciate that you're doing it. At the very bottom of the page, there's a place for you to leave a comment. We love hearing from you, so feel free to go down there and just leave us a comment.
And you know, speaking of Christmas, what's coming up?
Last year, for the entire month of December, we did what we called Countdown to Christmas. And most of our subscribers seem to really enjoy it, so we're going to do it again. So December 1st, we'll have our first video of the month, and we're going to try to post a video every day up until Christmas Eve. So make sure you come back December 1st, just a couple of days, and start watching our Countdown to Christmas. We would appreciate you watching.
Time to start decorating. Yay!
Absolutely. We do appreciate you being here, and we want you to remember that you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day.